All right, guys, here we are, video 12. All right, and man, this has been so good doing with you all. Again, I hope these ideas are challenging you, helping you, really giving you something to think about as you increase the abilities that you have, the value that you bring, and overall achieving what it is that you really want. So I will quickly overview everything and get to today's topic, but it's so interesting. If you notice, everything builds on each other. And that's actually why I'm presenting these ideas. These ideas are not presented haphazardly, but they are very specific and considered, because I feel like this is the kind of layering, so to speak, as you get closer and closer and closer to achievement, that these are concepts that just keep building on each other. So really quickly, let's talk about the ideas of dreams, personal development, and financial independence. Okay. By the way, there are two other concepts we'll talk about in the next the week, so to speak. But I'm very excited to close out these three and then start into the other two. So let's go through it real quick. So when it comes to dreams, we have to consider desire, what it is we want, and really pursuing that, really developing a keen desire for those things. We also have to articulate those desires into goals. It's literally a organized concept and plan of how it is you're going to get what you want. And by the way, you're going to face opposition. That's why you're going to need your reasons. Reasons ground us. Reasons help us. But without reasons, it's very easy for us to give up. But when we know why, when we understand the purpose, we keep going. But in order to keep going, we have to develop discipline. Disciplined in areas that we'll discuss in just a moment, but it does require discipline, doing the work daily, grinding into becoming the person that is required to achieve these things. Now, let's talk about these disciplines as it relates to personal development. In personal development, we talk about physical health. We want to increase in our vitality, our energy, how we feel. We also want to increase in our emotional health because we have a desire to see things better than what they are. We want to have vision. We want to have perspective. We want to have empathy. We want to have great emotional health, a positive attitude. These things are so important. Also, in terms of intellectual health, we want to increase our skill and our knowledge and how we understand things. We do that by reading books, doing courses, increasing in our abilities. And last, we also want to increase our identity, because identity has all to do with our spiritual health. Spiritual health has all to do with the person you really are. When you go beyond the surface of everything, this is who you really are. And this is done by challenging yourself, by getting involved and around people, right? Creating new relationships, proximity to people that make you better, and doing things that push you to a new level. Because once you prove that you can do something, you'll continue to do that thing. And so it's just very important to increase your identity. Now let's talk about financial freedom or financial independence, however you want to say it. The goal here is to be able to live on the resources that you've developed for yourself, and being able to be generous, leaving behind for your family, being blessing to the causes and ministries that you love and want to support. Because here's what I do know. I do know this. God is faithful to meet the needs. But generally speaking, God meets the needs through people. He allows people to give Him glory and honor by responding to His calling command to be generous. In fact, we talk about verses where it talks about the Lord blessing our storehouse. But question, how can you have a blessed storehouse that does not exist? Right? So there's principles of financial freedom that I just want to give you some thinking. Maybe this is something that you desire. Maybe you're tired of being stressed. Maybe you have a goal of living a certain way. Well, this has all to do with financial freedom, and I want to show you what it is, because what it's not is being in love with money. That would be wrong. That would be a sin. But also not being so poverty thinking that you would think that you're holier than other people just because of your lack. Now, there's a fine line between that, because I will say this, it's not as simple as saying the rich are wicked and the poor are righteous. There's a mixture, because there are those that are poor that are righteous and wicked. There are those that are rich that are righteous and wicked. So it's really, I think, a mistake to fall into those categories. And what I'm really, again, talking about is very similar to what the Apostle Paul talked about, and that is he knew how to live in abundance, but he also knew how to live when he was not so abundant. So it's all about being content, right? And learning what it is required to live the way that you desire to live. So let's just talk about it. Value is the first thing. We want to increase in our value. We want to offer more through our service, more through our skills, more to our company, more to our business. Whatever it is, we want to increase in value, because the more valuable we become, the more income we get. You get paid not because of time. I mean, sure, yeah, you get paid. Maybe you probably get bumped up a little here and there for being around this long, that long, but that's not super big. I mean, it's fine. That's one way of doing it. You could wait for the increase, the assumed value you're bringing to the company. But how about increasing your value so much that your employer, that it would be shameful for them not to do something to acknowledge your value and to keep you, right? That's a totally different story. So we increase in our value, and we do our best, and we do this in a way that increases our income. And then we talked about cash flow. Cash flow is everything. Cash flow is our ability to be in a positive state of saving. And the way you save is, number one, you have to have an income. And number two, you have to manage your expenses. This is where accounting comes into play. You have to know where your money's going, right? Brother Dave says, make sure that every dollar that leaves, you know its name and know where it's going, right? Have an accounting of your money and making sure that you're putting money back, which is the same thing as cash flow. See, sometimes your cash flow actually happens at the beginning of the month, because a principled way of living would be, hey, I'm going to give of my tithe, but then I'm also going to put back into my savings, and whatever's left, I have to make that work, because I'm done after that. That's where my lifestyle is what's left over, right? And those are the kind of decisions you should be making in terms of how you're going to cash flow, because you need extra cash flow to do this, and that is invest. Invest, because you don't want to just continually add, right? Just adding money, but you want to multiply money. You want to take money and have it double quickly as possible. And we can do that through two different ways. In my opinion, it's active capital, which would be taking money that you have and using it towards a business idea, right? Or buying and selling, trading, right? Doing those kinds of things. It's where you are actively doing something with this extra money to double it, triple it, quadruple it, like 10x it, whatever you want to do. It's increasing through your labors and efforts. And I would say that this would be done as a side business at first. And let me just throw this out here. What if you got so good at your side hustle that it would be able to replace your current job and become your full-time hustle? Your dreams, your goals, your desires. This is the American dream, right? Being able to do these things, do the things that you love, right? That's possible, but it takes active capital to get the ball rolling. The other way of doing this is passive income. This is where you take money and you lend that money out to someone who needs more than what they have for their idea, for their business, for their ideas, for their ventures, for their real estate, whatever it is. But when you give them that money, they take it and they create the value and pay you for allowing you, for your use, for you allowing them to use your money, in other words. So it's a dividend, it's an interest, right? It's an interest check. And that's very good stuff, right? You can do that again. Things like real estate, stocks, right? Funds, whatever it is. Again, I'm not here to give you tips on investing. I'm just simply saying it's an important thing to number one, combat inflation, which is real, right? Typical inflation is you're looking at 1% to 2% a year. So in other words, the dollar that you have right now, a year from now, it's only actually going to be worth 98 to 99 cents. And you can see that at the store, right? Your groceries are increasing. You're like, well, what's going on? It's not that your groceries are necessarily increasing, which they are, but the point is the increase in what you're buying is actually making your money less valuable. So again, what I could pay for with $1 a year ago, I can't do so. What happened? Inflation. So you have to outweigh inflation, and you need to be creating flow that is actually going to be able to be there for, again, legacy and lifestyle. And that's exactly what I want to talk about right now is lifestyle. Lifestyle. Now, this again is choices. This is about what do I want? And a lifestyle has all to do with determining what it is you want, how it is you choose to live, not how you think you should live. I don't think that's a great place to start, right? Making sense of your current predicament. I mean, where would so many people, even ourselves, where would we be if we just were complacent, not content, but complacent with where we are? What if, though, we could expand our horizon and say, hey, this is the lifestyle I want. By the way, I hope that in your lifestyle, it has all to do with generosity. Like, don't misunderstand. I'm not talking about lifestyle of the rich and the famous. By the way, if that's what you want, that's fine. Because I will tell you this, again, there's a misunderstanding with this concept of financial freedom. We're not talking about becoming rich and wicked, all right? But I'm talking about having a lifestyle of contribution, a lifestyle that is noble in the sense that you're not dependent upon anyone or anything, that you are able to live off of what you have built with your life, what God has blessed you to do, and that when you're done, you are actually going to be able to be a blessing to your family. Like, that's a noble thing, in my opinion. It's something I'm thinking about, because the truth is, as you get older, stuff just doesn't matter like it used to. Houses, cars, trips, I mean, stuff is just stuff if we're being honest. But I will tell you this, being able to be a blessing to someone that really needs it, I'm just telling you right now, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like being able to supply somebody with a gift, a donation, whatever it is you want to call it, but that is substantial and is helpful. And my hope, my goal is, I want to increase substantiability, right? Here's what I'm really saying is lifestyle, you start with where you're at and you increase it. Because I will tell you this, what I'm told by the super successful people is who you are right now does not change when you become successful or wealthy. It just increases that. So if you're a generous person, your generosity increases because you now have greater means of being generous, right? If you're stingy, you're just always going to be stingy, right? People talk about, one of my mentors talked about, he said, hey, you better learn to tithe off of $1. Because if you can't tithe off of $1, how are you going to tithe off of $1 million, right? And you're fooling yourself if you think you will. You're like, oh yeah, that'd be easy, right? Because I'm not expecting that. No. Because whoever you are, you're going to be the same way. You might be thinking, 10 cents, what's that matter? 10 cents means everything, because it means you're principled, you're disciplined, and that's your lifestyle. Because what if you become a millionaire? What if you obtain $1 million quickly? Wouldn't that be something if you were able to give $100,000 starting out? Because I know super successful people, they don't just tithe. They go above and beyond, because again, at some point, stuff is not satisfying. And that's what I want for us. I want us to be people of impact, people that we live free. Listen, money can't do everything. It can't take away the worry of a loved one when they're sick. It can't do all of these things, but I'll tell you what it can do. It can get those loved ones the best help. It can provide comfort for those in difficult times. It does merit something. And I don't want us to get misunderstood here, but I am saying evaluate your lifestyle. If you don't like the way that you're living, maybe we evaluate and say, how can I begin to live in a different way? Well, I would submit it starts with value. it continues with cash flow, and it will be fulfilled by investment. So I'm in my 30s. I cannot wait to see. I hope that I'm able to do all these things we're talking about, because it's one of my goals. I want to be financially independent. I want to be debt-free, financially free, and being a blessing. And I think that is godly and noble, and I hope you feel the same way. So that concludes Financial Independence. We'll be back with a new topic that I cannot wait to talk to you about. So stay tuned, and we'll get back with the videos.